What is going on, guys? Still in there. Today we will be going over a ticker symbol analysis on the ticker symbol AAPL app. Before we get to the video, I just want to let you know this will be a price prediction. Where will the stock price go within the next few days and or weeks? Won't have anything to do with news. So let's get straight to the video, guys. So you've been following the last few videos on Apple. We have been forecasting it. Despite Apple being in a pretty ugly technical spot, especially over these last few weeks, which we've been covering, we followed through and we made videos about it. And so far, the analysis has been very spot on, guys. We've had a lot of predictable price action, and we hope to offer and provide that to you once again today. So right away, man, looking at the stock, we did have this bear flag continuation pattern where we ripped down with this big flag pull-like structure. Just a lot of fear within the market, sinking right below, making a big pull-like structure, coming up in this tight channel, consolidating. And then at that point, kind of just setting up another leg to go down. And when this happened, of course, we had a huge gap down, right, with news and all that. So it even more fueled the fire. Then at this point, we held that to 202.28. We kind of just combobulated around this area. We bounced up. And then once again, we formed another one of these flags on the daily time frame. Almost instead of a bull flag continuation where we rip up, we go sideways, break out, rip up, go sideways, break up. The inverse, a bear flag continuation pattern. And currently that's what we're seeing right now on the daily time frame. We covered this in the last video when we had this hammer candle printed right at this 202.28 level about 1 week ago. We mentioned that if we broke this 202.28 level, it is very, very likely to come down to 194 and test it, as there is no support between these two zones. And so far, guys, we actually got the perfect test down at that zone, followed by another day of price action, holding up right at that level, forming a doji candle, which forms indecision within the market as we had an even price rejection to the downside, as you see this big dip going up, and an even price rejection to the down, where buyers are holding the price up in the middle range. So that's what we're looking at as far as the daily perspective. We can't analyze this too much. We will jump back to the daily briefly, but let's start off in the weekly analysis. Alrighty, guys, look at the weekly time frame. Something I want to get out the way right away. We've been mentioning this in the last few videos. Apple moves a little bit differently from almost every stock within the stock market. We'll start our first example over here. We did very, very aggressive run up from these highs being breached. It's a nice ascending move into this level. And then at that point, we had a nice run up, followed by a very, very harsh pullback. And just stocks getting smashed. It's getting smashed, getting smashed. It's very ugly price action. Boom, big bounce, right? And we have followed into this big level of destruction, to be fair, right? Apple investors aren't used to this. And this is my point. When you look in the last 5, 10 years, whenever there's a big correction in Apple stock almost always gets bought up. These high fear moments, we're sinking below these lows. If we pull up this level, we're sinking below these lows, which are a form of resistance. We're coming up, we're bouncing, we sink below it, we're pressing up against it, and then boom, big move up. We're sinking below it. Looks like we're down and out of these lows. Boom, we're all the way back up. So Apple is one of those stocks, man, where it bounces, quote unquote, where it shouldn't. Good example is over here. We have these lows set over here, and we sunk below it for about a couple of days. It looks like, hey guys, we might be breaking this form of low, really coming down to set some more movement going down. Nope, immediately, boom, big move up. So we've got to keep that in mind, that when Apple has these major sell-off hit areas, buyers, typically long-term buyers, right? They love the big cap, blue tech stock, all that, yada, yada, but they step up. And we've seen the beginning of this on the daily time frame when we had this very just ugly move down, man. Very, very aggressive move down, all the way down to these lows around 170, which is pretty unprecedented for Apple. So we got to keep that in mind, guys. We can't look at this and say it's something it's not. We are seeing more bearish price action and a harsh correction than we've seen in Apple in quite some time. But that does conflict with the former and current trend, which we've been following over the last how many years on Apple. It bounces when it shouldn't, guys. It just shows strength when it shouldn't. So on the weekly time frame, we are seeing a couple of wicks at these lows. Definitely buyers are trying to hold up and make this a low point where they can have that FU effect and go right back up. But we're not looking at a lot from a weekly time frame. Well, moving up, we have this overall ascending support. Yeah, you know, you could say that it's not extremely relevant. We do have it, right? But it's coinciding with these levels which we're trying to defend right here. So as far as a weekly perspective, we're overall bullish as we're moving up. We're moving up. Yes, we've had some short-term turmoil, but if we just jump over to a monthly time frame, look at the stock, man. It's just going up. It's just going up. So we're long-term bullish. I'm not gonna be that guy running around with a flag saying, "Oh, we're going to 150 bucks" when there's no real evidence. Yes, it's a correction, but as far as a weekly perspective, I need to stay bullish until we start to see more of these lows getting breached. And then at that point, my opinion will be changed. So let's jump over to the daily time frame now that we have this overall, more of a complex view of Apple. It's in a kind of a weird spot, guys. That's why I'm making this video. Alrighty, guys, let me keep this nice and brief. We already went over Apple on the daily time frame, but you do see this ascending support moving up on the daily. If we actually delete that and then take off all these drawings, it'll be a little bit more clear. There's a lot on the chart, but you see these overall touch points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, kind of pressing up in this general area. So we are seeing a little bit of that support, which is arguable, right? But I would mark it as we have enough touch points amongst the chart. And where did that line up? Right at this level, 194. This is the level that we mentioned in the last video. When we made the video at this hammer candle, we said, guys, you know, we have this bear flag squeezing up. It's getting really, really tight. And we printed right below that level, which didn't look good. We made it very blunt, honest, and clear within the video. And we mentioned that once we broke this level, we're going to come down to the next supply zone. The next support zone. So when we did that, pretty quick movement down, 1, 2, 3, 4 days. But something I want to mark up is that we have this kind of ascending support, which has been, you know, a little relevant, marked up exactly with that 194 level. So there's a double confirmation. So we're in almost the same shoes as we were last video. If we break this 194 level, it is very likely we come down and test that 189, that 186 level in this general zone of influence. So there is less movement down from this next level to the next, but that's what we're looking at, man. You know, each one of these candles represents one day on the daily time frame. We already kind of went into the daily a little bit at the beginning of the video, so I don't want to stretch this out too much, but we're in one of those zones, man. You know, we're in this descending pattern of this big rejection movement down, kind of like a flagpole-like structure. It's where it gets the terminology, right? And then we have this channel moving up, and then we have another harsh move down, and a channel moving up, and then we're sinking below. So right now is a question, hey, in this historically bullish stock where Apple's continued to have dip buyers present, will this bear flag continuation continue? And will we see it revisit these lows? Honestly, right now, there isn't enough data to move that far. I'd be lying to you guys if I said, you know, there is or isn't, but we can follow it from a daily perspective from the next few days and or weeks, and that's what we'll be watching, guys. That's what we'll be watching. We break 194 in the daily. That's a big daily zone that has been breached. At that point, we would come down to the next zone, which we mentioned, but that's what we're looking at, guys. And inversely, if we do start to curl up and bounce at the support level, which we've been talking about, the next zone will be that 202.28 level, 202.25, that general area. If we can get up over that, guys, then we're top, right? Then from a daily perspective, I'll get more bullish. But as of now, guys, we are descending in this pretty negative price action movement. We are seeing some decent signs, right? GPQ is moving very strong. So the overall market's pretty strong. I mean, that's a whole other thing. We're moving in this resistance, but so there's a lot of strength in the market. So, you know, it gives Apple a little bit of hope, but then again, it hasn't really been very strong. So it's definitely a nuanced conversation. It's a nuanced analysis, but that's why I like it, man. I like doing these weird stocks that no one wants to cover. And that's what we're looking at. We're looking at, once again, another range from that 194 to 202.25. So let's see what happens, man. But that's the next movements we'll be watching as far as a daily perspective. So with that being said, let's go over to the hourly time frame. So on the hourly time frame, you clearly see this wedge, which we're talking about, this bearish flag, whatever you want to call it, in full effect, right? It's very, very technical. It's very, very clean. And that's why we've gotten this pretty harsh movement down, as we've got a whole lot of pressure pinched up in the top of this range. or we gap down with some bad news. It's not what you want to see, guys, right? When you look at a bad pattern that's coming down with bad news. But with that to the side, this pennant formation, which we mentioned on the hourly, has broken down to the bottom. And from this point, we've been grinding down until 194, guys. 194, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours of holding around the zone. So once again, man, we're seeing another perspective of how crucial this 194 level really is. As if we break this level, then at that point we'll be setting lower highs right here, lower highs right here, lower highs right here, and then we're setting lower lows. We're moving in a stair-step-like fashion down, right? As we mark these up, you clearly see moving down, just like stair steps. So if you come down and test this low one more time and breach it, then at that level, it would be pretty confident if it broke and say, hey, we're coming down and set another lower low, right? We're moving in a stair-step-like pattern down. So that's what we're looking at as far as the hourly time frame. We'll be following this very, very closely a couple of times a week to see what this trend ends up following through. But as of now, guys, we definitely are seeing some bearish signs on the hourly. Now we will come down and go and test that zone. But like we mentioned, guys, there's a lot of moving pieces to the Apple stock chart. This is not the most simple chart to be breaking down. There's a lot of moving pieces, right? As we have the weekly analysis kind of conflicting against the long term, right? You know, in big pullbacks, we always get bought up. We're not quite seeing that yet, you know, and we are seeing a lot of bearish action on the daily. But then again, we're seeing these lows being defended. So there's a lot of back and forth energy in the Apple chart. It's probably the best way to break it down in simple terms, but we will be covering this volatile stock in this volatile time. So if you found any value, guys, like, subscribe, all that. We'll be doing Apple a couple of times a week. It depends how much times you guys want me to cover it. As you know, so many stocks only get so many views and whatnot. So definitely let me know in the comments if you guys want these kind of videos. But with that being said, man, hope you have a good day. Take care and goodbye.